Welcome to the Maverick Paradox podcast, where we explore what it is to be a maverick and discover effective modes of leadership. I am Judith Germain, and my mission is to propel the maverick mindset into a world where character and integrity will ultimately have a higher premium than personality and bureaucracy. So thank you for joining me on this journey. If you'd like to continue with me, then please download future episodes on iTunes. But today we have Joe Lawrence here, who's a leadership coach who has extensive military experience. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Judith. Thank you for having me back. I appreciate being here again.
That's fine. I was thinking maybe today we could spend some time just having a chat on leadership and mavericks and see where that leads us. How do you feel with that?
Let's do it.
I think one of the things that came up last time we spoke was the need to have trust in leadership. And I was wondering, how do you build trust with the guys that work with you?
That's great. Trust is definitely, that's foundational, in my opinion. You can't do anything until you have the trust of your team. And if you try to go in there and do anything else, I've learned in the past that you're just wasting your time until you have earned their trust. It's simple sounding formula, but it's definitely not simple to do. But I believe in order to gain trust, you need to do three things. You need to be visible, be interested, and be involved. And by being visible, it's, being there, going to where the work is happening, letting them see who you are, not being that leader who's always behind the desk or always, somewhere far away. You don't want to be up in your ivory tower. You want to actually be down where the work's happening. You want to be intermingling. And, being interested, the same thing. We can learn so much from somebody on our team, just going down and watching what they're doing and asking questions to learn more. And so when you're doing that, when you're visible and interested, you're learning about the job. The people are saying, wow, this person's actually cares about me enough to, take time from his or her day to come down and see this. Then to be involved. Whenever you're there, you're going to see problems. You're going to see their struggles. You're going to see the things that they deal with that you normally don't. If their job's outside, you might see where, rain or cold or heat can impact them. So you could adjust the work schedule a little bit or, be kind of creative to help them out to make their life more comfortable or make policies. There's so many problems that I have seen that they didn't even realize were problems. They just kind of fought through. And so by being involved, you get to get ahead of that. And so I don't want to say it's a quick process because earning trust is definitely nothing fast, but it is a very simple process. It just takes a lot of work and time and dedication to put into it. But I don't think there's anything more important than the trust of your team. What type of strategy do you employ as a socialized maverick?
I love that. I've not thought of it in that way, but when you was talking, I was thinking that's probably embedded in what I do. I look at trust from the force perspective of one being character and intention, which is self-evident what that means. And also integrity. So is integrity in terms of what you say and what you do, are they aligned? Are they the same? Are they integral to each other? Is there wholeness around it? And also, are you a trustworthy type of individual? And then I also look at competence. So trust isn't, as you said, it's not just a soft skill. So how competent is that person? Can they do what they say they do? Do they have the ability and skill levels? And finally, what kind of track record of success do they have? So I think that when you're building trust, you're looking at exactly the stuff that you talked about, being visible, interested, and involved in that. And for me, that kind of falls into the character side of things. When someone's talking to you, are they paying attention? Are they engaged? Are they asking questions? And I think, and also on the doing side, the competency in the track record, I want to see that there's been some level of success. Whether that doesn't necessarily mean that the goal has been achieved in the past, but they have learned from the failures so that they won't make it again. So that's the kind of philosophy that I look at.
Yeah, I like that. It's I've heard a metaphor before that trust is a pencil, and on that pencil, you want the lead to run out before the eraser. So you want to be able to add more value to that person's life than mistakes that you're trying to erase and apologize for. So that's a very good good explanation of that, because I've heard that before and it never really sunk in until you just explain with the character and integrity. And yeah, I really like that take on it.
Thank you. Another thing I was thinking about actually is the self-efficacy, like self-confidence. That's a part of leadership. Do you have any thoughts about that? How self-confidence has an impact on your leadership ability?
Oh my. Yeah, there's lots.
Sorry.
Let me see if I can. Yeah, no, it's your self-confidence is everything. When you're standing up there in front, I've noticed this so many times where I've been put into what I like to call sink or swim situations. And I know I'm going into it and I'm not at that time the best person for the job. I know I have the skills and the ability to maybe eventually get there, but I'm not the leader that they need at that moment. And I feel it. I felt my confidence shaking in my voice. I felt, the nervousness. I felt, and you could see the reaction on the people's faces when they, you're not that confident leader. People want to be led and they want to follow somebody, but they want to make sure that they're following the right somebody and they're not, following somebody over a cliff. And so, definitely that confidence is huge. But just like, trust, I think confidence is earned, but trust is earned by others. Confidence you earn from yourself. And so confidence is, like you said, a track record. That's your own track record. Now I know what I'm strong and what I'm weak at. And I know that, I'm going to have a small learning curve. And so what works for me is what also helps build confidence and trust simultaneously is I admit that in the beginning. When I'm in that sink or swim situation, I'll tell the team, I'm like, look, I am not up to speed on this yet. What are your ideas? Let's figure it out. And, we have that head-to-head conversation. We figure it out and like, all right, this is the best decision that I see. Let's move forward. And, in the beginning, you go with the group consensus to just kind of align your compass. And once you do, you build that confidence. Your team has confidence in you. And, they also trust you at the same time. So that's always been kind of, I don't say always, I say always a lot, but, that's my strategy that I have cultivated. And I think it's a good one.
Yeah. And I think the very act of doing that gives confidence to other people because they know that if something that you would seek advice if you wasn't sure.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't want to go in there overconfident where you think, I've done that as well. And I've had many leaders who have done that where they know all the answers, they know everything, and the whole team knows that they're clearly wrong. And then at that point, your team doesn't trust you and they're just waiting for you to fail. In fact, you can all usually see those smirks on their face when you make an overconfident decision. They're just like, all right, I'm going to watch you fail this time, buddy. And you'll learn some humility very quickly.
You know what? I love the way that you put trust and self-confidence together. I think that's brilliant. I've never thought of it like that. And it just made me think about when I used to work in corporate life with a team. And I used to say to them, if don't let me walk out of this door to see like the MD or the CEO and tell him something that is wrong. So don't let me walk out with false information. Even if I seem like I know what I'm talking about, stop me and say, have you considered? And it made me think just there, like what you said about confidence and the trust, so that the team. So I knew that if I said to the team, "This is what we're doing," that I trusted that if they felt it was wrong, they would tell me, and they trusted that I wouldn't go crazy if I didn't agree with them. And it never meant that I lost that authority over them, but it did mean that we were a very tight unit that always had each other's back.
Exactly. How did you cultivate that? Is that something that took you a while, or, if you're in a job, let's say I have a job and I want to move quickly because, we have a big project we're working towards over the next 6 months. And, the previous leader was a toxic leader. He was one of those extreme mavericks who, just used his authority over everyone. And they have that lack of trust in your position, not technically in you, but in your position. What have you done in the past to kind of earn that?
It's interesting because I've certainly been in situations where the person before me was terrible, either because they were extreme or they were just rubbish at their job. And I think for me, the first thing is like building that trust. But you don't, as you say, you don't have a lot of time because you're called in because you've got to turn things around fast. And I found that the best way is to pace people. So I would get the team together and I will tell them about me. So this is what I expect. This is how I work. I tend to do this. You know, what I want from you. You know, so very upfront clarity. And I would stress, you know, that you should tell me there's issues and blah, blah, blah. Which nobody ever believes you on day one.
Right.
Because
exactly.
But you have to say it anyway. But they don't believe that because their past experience says when they do that, they get killed by somebody. So, but you need to be upfront about it. But then I would say, always give, this is where I think needs to be. Here's the vision. This is how we're going to get there. What do you think? And I think it's kind of a controlled environment where you pace people, explain what's going on, the areas that you can get engagement with, you do, but you're constantly demonstrating exactly what you say you would do. So you say, you know, this is what I expect, this is what I do, and do it. And often I would seek feedback very regularly in the first early period. So they get used to me giving the way I give feedback and the way that I want feedback from other people. So I would, you know, ask the question and they would respond. And I would always end before I left with, what more do you need from me? Is it working for you? What am I not doing is right? And if they'll say, no, everything's fine, I'll say, that's not true because you look really stressed when asked to do that. Why was that? And then they sort of give you that look that says, I don't know if I trust you to tell you. But, you know, after some time, eventually they say, I don't like. So, like, for example, there was this time where I was in a situation and my style was extremely different from the previous manager that they had before. And, like, there was a lot of errors and lots of issues and I had to fix things very fast. But I was constantly being pulled out by the board to, you know, if a meeting with the MD, if a meeting with this person, if a meeting with that director. So I was always away from my desk. And I did ask the question and sort of said, you know, what am I doing that's annoying you? And after a while, one of the girls said, you're never at your desk and we really want to protect you and your time. But when people ask us where you are, we don't know what to say. So we feel really uncomfortable. And it's really, you know, like, oh, I had never considered that. So I explained why I wasn't going to be at my desk and how that in that period of time would not change. But what I did do was open up my diary to the team and gave them full authority to go in and move things around and, you know, sort my day out. And I would say that sometimes I get called into meetings that I don't have time to update my diary, but before I leave, I will tell one of you and then you just go in and do it so the rest of the team will know. And that made such a huge difference because they were like, finally, we know we can now say with confidence, oh, she's meeting the CEO or she's with the ops director or, you know, and that made them feel responsible and it gave them authority. And another thing I used to say was like, if any one of my team asks you a question or tell you to do something, like the leadership team, assume they have my full authority. Do not question it. If somebody, it doesn't matter what level of grade this individual was, if they've come to ask you something, assume it. And I think that, again, that had a huge trust thing as well. But it also meant that I had to take full responsibility if they cocked up, which was fine.
No, you're exactly right. I think that transparency, it's funny because you don't think about it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That transparency makes all the difference in the world because it lets them know that you're not, you know, doing something, you know, shady or, you know, something on the sly, that you legitimately are. And it lets them know that you trust them enough to actually see what you're doing. So, and what I found, you know, what else is beneficial is I encourage people to look ahead at each other's schedules. And so that way they see if I have that meeting with somebody important or somebody, you know, they might be having a problem that I don't know about. And they come into me and say, hey, you know, you have this meeting with, you know, John over at, you know, finance. Can you talk to him about this problem we're having? I'm not getting anywhere with him. And so it's been very beneficial to me to do something very similar. So that's yes, I like that. That's very, very good.
The thing as well I found is that you have to, not everybody, but certainly a lot of the team, teach them to accept that authority because it wouldn't be something they're used to, especially if you've got, say, an assistant and you suddenly say, oh yeah, just go to the CEO and tell him he needs to do X, Y, Z. Like, what?
Right.
Like, yeah, you've got the authority, off you go, but you have to, like, you can't just send them away, you have to put that extra effort into coaching and mentoring so people are able to. But the difference in the team is amazing, how productive it becomes and how much more fun and engaging it is.
Right. Instead of 10 leaders, or instead of 10 followers, you have 10 leaders who can all act autonomously towards the same goal, the same, vision.
And doesn't that make your life so much? This is the bit I never understood with leaders. They'll say, how can you give your team authority to do this? I'm like, because it makes my job easier. I don't get it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's what, whenever I take over a new leadership role, the next level down, I spend all of my time focusing on them to make sure they know how to do their job well first. And then I teach them bits of my job. And so that way they know they're not waiting on me. There's certain things that only I can authorize, and that's fine. And, certain decisions, and we draw those lines and we say, all right, you have full operating authority within these 2 lanes here. If you get close to the edge and you're not sure, come talk to me. I'll back up your decisions, but, you have to be legally allowed to make that decision. And I find my life is, one, better, because they're smarter than I am. I'm not the smartest man in the room. I'm sitting alone right now, and I'm still not the smartest person in the room. And so, you have, I know the people on my team, they're smarter and they're experts in their area. I'm just like you. I never understood, why would you put a leash on them and hold them back? You want to get those brilliant people on your team, but then we put so many restrictions on them to where they can't use that brilliance. And it's just, I don't get it.
I think that comes down. I think it comes down to self-confidence, because I always used to try to hire people who could do something that I couldn't do, but I was always confident that didn't mean they would have my job and I'd get sacked. Do you know what I mean? I knew that there was more to what I could bring than necessary expertise in everything, but that comes from self-confidence and believing in your own ability. Have you ever thought about how you build self-confidence in others? Have you thought about it?
Yeah, it's something I've thought about over the past few years. I will tell you, it's something that it's one of those things that I'm still working on, to be honest with you. But I have found the best strategy that has worked for me is to give small tasks and to give that authority to them. So to let them know, you can kind of get a good feel from how comfortable somebody is making decisions and performing certain tasks pretty quickly. Just observing their behavior and how they do things. And sometimes, somebody who seems that they're not very confident, it's because they've never been given the ability to make decisions. And so once you kind of lengthen their leash a little bit, if you will, you give them a wider lane to operate in, they amaze you. And some of them pick it up right away. Others, they don't want that authority. And you know what? That's fine. You can tell the people who are afraid to make those decisions, and you can put them in a role where, that's not a big part of it. And then others who want to, and they're comfortable and don't have that problem. And so you just slowly expand their authority, their lanes, the best that you can, and delegate, things down that, set them up for success, tasks that So I believe in small victories. You give some small victories, and then you give some where they can actually fail. You want those small victories where they're going to succeed. And that'll build up a little bit of confidence. And then you give them some that's going to stretch them and let them fail. And when they do fail, or if they succeed, you talk about it. Hey, what went wrong? What could we do better next time? And all right, let's move on. And it's, I've noticed that's been successful. I don't want to put a trademark on it yet, but I would definitely say that's been a successful strategy so far.
Yeah, I think that's really good, because I think one of the main ways that someone can become more confident is that they have success. So as he says, start with small things and then build the bigger things out. And also it's kind of referencing them, because I've noticed that people, they can be successful in something, but how they think about that success makes a difference. So you and I will probably go, I was good at that because I did X, Y, and Z. But other people go, I was really lucky like that. So therefore, they haven't really learned anything in confidence. So you have to say, wow, look at how you did that. Now I know you can do this because we'll take, and sometimes you have to tell them because I know you will take this learning and you will put it here. And also one of the things that I've done in the past, and you probably do as well, is help them model other people's experiences so that they can look at how someone has done something and break down the steps. So like, when you say you delegate and you say to the person, so tell me what you're going to do, and they give you the overview. And you go, right. So depending, obviously, let's assume it's a new task and they're not sure. And you say, can you break it down to me? And then they would get them to break it down into discrete steps, and then go back and say, okay, why did you choose to do it this way? And then they talk about it. And then you can gradually sort of coach them around to, yeah, that would work, but it'd be quicker if you did it this way. And also, I think feedback from others can make a big difference. And one thing that this might mean to you, I went into an organisation where the previous manager had pretty much taken away most autonomy from the team, to the point that if she asked them to do something, she would then get them to bring it to her and she would red mark it. Seriously, this is adults, she'd red mark it. So what would happen would be that these individuals would just stop trying. What was the point? Because you just rewrite it.
Exactly.
And it was just like, it was quite tragic when I got my first piece of work from the meeting, went, okay, I'm pretty sure they could do better. But one of the things I used to do is find something that someone has done really well, and I would publicly say, I'd be like, Joe, what you did today with X, Y, and Z was fantastic. I'm so proud of you. That's brilliant. And then just, walk off. And what I noticed after about 3 or 4 weeks, I had like 2 managers in the team. And what I noticed that the managers started doing it to their staff. They'd be like, oh, John, that was great when you did that. Really great learning, and it was just, and I just remember smiling and thinking, yeah, it's starting to change now. People are beginning to realise just how they can motivate and lead and bring the team together. But it was quite satisfying to see that they had modelled my behaviour without me actually saying you need to be more encouraging to your team. And it was heartfelt and not overused. So it was brilliant to see that.
Yeah, it's very infectious. I'm a firm believer of rewarding the behavior that you want repeated. And whenever you do that, there's positive and negative rewards, but when you reward the behavior that you want repeated, it's amazing how infectious that becomes. That's almost faster than if you actually took, you could come up with any process or system that you want to come up with, and it will never be implemented as quickly as recognition. Just like anything else, that's how you teach monkeys how to ride skateboards. You throw them treats when they do something good, getting closer to that goal. And that's how, we make funny. We're like monkeys and skateboards. We learn the same way, and we're so, the smallest little reward, the little appreciation, like, hey, great job. Especially when you're just working for a toxic leader. Yeah. That small piece of appreciation means the entire world. I remember the current job that I'm in right now, the guy I took over for, he definitely would fit that label of toxic leader. And I didn't even know any of this yet. My first week there, everyone made me feel so welcome, and I just sent out an email to the organization, a quick thank you note. Hey, I just want to thank everyone, and here's my contact info if you need me, type thing. And I had people coming up into my office like almost in tears because just that little note. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And just because nobody's like noticed the things that they've done or the small piece of appreciation. And so I was like, holy cow. So yeah, just the little things. Especially when you're taking over for somebody who may have been toxic, or those extreme Mavericks who are only results focused, or really has the team in a noose. That's definitely a great thing.
I think this is sadly an end of another great conversation with Joe. Thank you again for coming along. It's really great hearing from you.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me back. I appreciate it.
Well, until the next time, we'll speak soon.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you once again for tuning into the Maverick Paradox podcast. I hope you have enjoyed listening to my conversation with Joe, as much as I have enjoyed having it. If you would like to learn more about Mavericks and leadership, then please subscribe to my podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or one of the other popular podcast platforms. Find out how willful independence can ultimately change all our futures. Thanks again, and see you soon.